Let's start up the formal meeting. So let me bring it to order, and let's all stand for a pledge. There's a flag behind you. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will do a moment of silence for Amalio Lombardi, who worked for Sunup Construction, who was a contractor for the city on the Route 52 Fishkill Avenue, Teller Avenue project, who died as a result of an accident in the process. Thank you. Chris will tell us possibly a little bit more. Let me do a roll call. So I see Molly, Jeff, Amber, Paloma, Pam, George, and Lee. So it's full house on the council. The city administrator is here, and the city attorney is online. I will now entertain a motion to bring local law number 1, resolution number 72, up to the top of the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
So that's Pam and Molly, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. So let's take up the appointment of Kyle Perucci to the position of police officer. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
So that's Amber and Pam and Molly. Okay. You just heard what you needed to hear. Any further discussion? Okay. So all in favor of appointing Kyle Perucci to the position of police officer, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Let's do, you want to come up and we'll do this in person? Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kyle Perucci.
I, Kyle Perucci,
Lieutenant.
You can come around. That's fine.
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
of the City of Beacon
of the City of Beacon,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Whatever photos this whole wants to do.
We're also at the point where some guys are recycling their old shield numbers. So Sergeant Walden's going to present him with his old patrol shield.
Oh. Any other photos?
Your family?
Kyle, you want anybody else? Now's the time. Bring them all up.
The whole family can come in. The whole family.
You got the floor for a little while.
Come on.
Different path. She's calming down.
Oh, I gotta...
It's the book.
Yeah, I'm sure that's good.
Use the book.
I know. Yeah, put that away safe.
Well, when she's friends with the book. Well, she sees it around.
All right, the mayor has left the room, so I'm taking over the meeting. I appoint Amber mayor.
Consent agenda for 72 through 75.
Okay, all in favor?
That scans.
Motion to adjourn.
Didn't realize that Mies was in the room.
I believe that would have to be Pam's motion.
I know, right?
Go Pam, quick, you got like 2 seconds.
He knew the room had to get cleared.
Remember, there's Ben is listening at his station, so I heard the insurrection
So you can
occur.
Ben is part of the insurrection.
Yeah. All right, thank you all, I'm sorry. I just needed to get something as well. Okay, so this is the first opportunity for public comment. Anyone who'd like to make a comment can do so now on any topic that you wish for up to 3 minutes. And I'm just checking with who's on the list. Teresa Kraft is on the list, so you're up first.
Good evening. I'm here as a concerned resident of this beautiful city. You may have a point in saying that the city of Beacon is transparent. However, the only thing transparent about the city government is that we can see right through it. The deal with the MTA has sold the city soul to the devil. For the past few years, we have been urging the City Council to promptly update the comprehensive plan, which should have already started being shared with the residents through public charrettes, roundtables, and forums. According to the established timeline, it should be updated by 2027, following the pattern set in 2007 and 2017. The Beacon Comprehensive Plan is a dynamic document that reflects the hopes and expectations of the people of Beacon, developed with community input. We now know for a fact that there was a reason you did not show loyalty to your constituents, the residents, the tax-paying citizens of this city. I can say with certainty that you couldn't even look them in the eyes when they asked the questions, as you were making plans and deals behind closed doors. We know this is to be true because we can see the evidence in the paper trail. These actions would not have been possible if we had begun making revisions to that comprehensive plan. 10 years ago, the residents of Beacon rallied together to stop the proposed development at the riverfront, which aimed to build high-density housing and restaurants. While our riverfront may not resemble its appearance during the industrial era, it has transformed into a majestic and scenic natural area. This change served as a badge of honor for the environmental movement, especially considering that it was once a dumping ground where garbage was burned in the 60s and the early 70s, known today as the Pete and Toshi Riverfront Park. For decades, people have gathered at our majestic Hudson riverfront to honor the legacy of our hometown hero, Pete Seeger. This is how you want to rewrite our history, our next chapter? Our waterfront now serves as an escape from the noise of our busy Main Street, allowing visitors to enjoy the landscape, wildlife, and the beautiful beauty of the river. I'm shaken. This is so bad. And its view is breathtaking from the other side of the Hudson River and crossing the Newburgh-Beacon Bridge. As you drive down the hill towards the river, you are captivated by the beauty of the view before you even get there. However, if this MTA construction is allowed to proceed as planned, our riverfront will be permanently damaged. Despite this, you are still approving the project. Let's continue discussing the historic firehouses, the one you sold and the one you're currently trying to sell. The Mace Hook and Ladder was taken away from the community.
15 seconds.
Thank you, don't interrupt, thanks. That building could have been sold for 3 to 5 times its value in just a few years and transformed into community space, perhaps even a museum. Unfortunately, it feels like just a matter of moving money around. Sadly, the residents of Beacon ended up covering the brokerage fee for that realtor.
Your time has
There-
elapsed.
I want my minute back, thank you. There is so much development happening in this small
Okay.
city that it's hard for people to keep up with it. You mentioned how you
What
eliminate...
minute? Stop. Okay. We all know the rules. We're happy to have people speak, but you need to wrap up in about... So, okay. Anyone in the physical audience want to make a comment? This is the time to do so. Come on up, tell us who you are, where you live, and you got 3 minutes. Not much more than 3 minutes, but 3 minutes.
I don't have anything written down. My name is Mae Jacobs, West Willow Street, lived here since 1992. I didn't come meaning to speak, but you spent so much time talking about parking earlier. I just thought I'd say something in person that I've been writing to people about and putting on Facebook, that the Henry Street lot behind the town crier is at a critical, crucial moment. It will not wait till the fall or cars are going to be damaged. There's the lines were not put in properly when it was done last time, so make that company pay for the lines to get redone. But it is crazy now. I can give you 5 more photographs of what's going on there.
Mayor, if I may, it's on the list. We are trying to get quotes right now to do it.
Get it fast. I'm going to go out with spray
What happened
paint.
is one of the companies came in and they did the lines and they did them improperly.
Oh, I
they
know.
blacked them out and then they bled
No,
through.
we have the
But
business there.
this is the one behind Yankee Clipper, correct?
Yeah, and behind
Yeah.
Main Street Music.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
also
Same
that.
side.
Well,
Okay.
it's the same parking
Yeah, it's the
lot.
same lot.
Because the
That's
owner
here.
of that store got a parking ticket for trying to park somewhere else.
Okay, got it.
It's out of control. So that, all off the top of my head, I obviously don't have anything written, but please, let's speed it up as fast as possible, because any day of the week, you can go there and find, no one knows where to park, because the lines are so insane. And cars, David had to climb in the passenger side the other day, the
'Cause they were
business
so
owner
close.
paying for real estate on, Main Street, because someone had parked so close to his driver's side that he literally, and my husband's not that agile anymore, had to climb into the passenger side.
Okay.
So it's critical. And then I'm just going to say that I just read the paper, and I haven't been coming to meetings like I did prior to the pandemic, but I was shocked that I can't even speak, that the MTA project has been approved, and it seems like a foregone conclusion. I don't know if it is. I'm starting to come to meetings again, but I'm horrified for all the reasons that were just spoken about and more, that is a possibility for so many reasons. I will get my thoughts together, I'll write them down, I'll come and speak next time, but please let that not be a foregone conclusion. I'm begging you. Okay, that's all I have. Next time I'll write it down. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. I will point out that the MTA proposal is simply a proposal, and there is a planning process that it needs to go through, right? And there's more on that to come. No, nothing is approved, so.
Mayor, just
So-
to be clear, MTA selected a developer that they want to work with. That's the only thing that happened. There's no other approval has happened. They went through an RFP process and they selected their developer of choice.
So
So
hang
again,
on.
without going back, I just wanted to clarify, there
I will
was-
provide some more information when we get to our reports. All right, but let's get through public comments first, and then I'll give a more fulsome description of what's occurred and what hasn't occurred. Okay? It's okay. All right, anyone else in the public want to make a remark? This is your time to do so.
Hi, Shannon Murphy, 162 Hidden Brook Drive. I never know where to start it's so good to listen, because knowing where to start, becoming engaged in projects is always interesting. I recently invited, and I am going to read, a dear friend and colleague of mine who is in arts administration. She's an artist and a teacher herself, and she's head of a really wonderful institution in New York. I invited her to visit me at Hidden Brook, and as we walked the property, the vision of an artist residency in the old monastery building began to materialize between us. A place like the Vermont Studio Center or Ballinglen Arts Foundation or Anderson Ranch, where artists converge for spans of intensive studio practice, uninterrupted focus, exchange with fellow artists, and the nourishment of Hidden Brook, of being in nature. We began to dream of a place that would serve multiple populations and offer various layers of participation, lectures and workshops free and open to the public, providing education and connection to the local community, short-term intensive courses in visual arts, writing, and potentially the local ecology, which would welcome intimate cohorts of participants to stay on site for 2 weeks in educational immersion at various times throughout the seasons, and an ongoing residency program for artists, writers, thinkers, creators to expand their work and participate in the aforementioned programs. This vision is grounded in the belief that first-hand engagement with creation through the practices of drawing, painting, writing, sculpture, and other forms of artistic expression engenders a lived experience of agency and hope. The dream is to create a living center for these disciplines and their vital growth, which values inclusion, rigorous practice and inquiry, and sustainable living. This letter goes on, and I delivered this letter last week to the Archdiocese, to the Cardinal, and I haven't had a response. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago. But this morning I got a very interesting piece of information that I would love to know if it's true, that, and perhaps
15 seconds.
the Archdiocese has entered into conversation, I don't know at which stage, with a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate that develops low-income housing, and that this is their vision for the monastery property. So I don't know what the city is aware of or not, but I would love to be included in the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else, Ben, in the online audience?
If you're on Zoom this evening and you'd like to make a public comment, you can use the raise hand option at the bottom of your screen. If you're joining by phone, you can press star 9. Lastly, if you're joining us by watching on YouTube, you will need to join the Zoom instead by visiting beaconny.gov and navigating to our community calendar where there is a link. And as of now, we have no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, let's do council remarks. Where do we want to start? George, you want to start? We'll run around?
Yeah, I just have a few things. One, I wanted to announce the ribbon cutting for South Avenue Park, which I still think is still on for Friday at 12 o'clock.
Yep.
So that's this Friday, August 8th at 12 o'clock. So please come down. And we're very proud of what that park now looks like. And then a few people recently have been asking me about, and we talked about it previously, about housing information on the resource page of the website, you know, with legal services, tenant rights, things like that. So I believe that's being worked on, and so we haven't forgotten it, but it's in process now. That's all. Thanks.
I forwarded an email on conditions at Rocky Glen, the city park, and about, you know, trash, and just hopefully, I don't know if a trash receptacle needs to be there. I know in the past residents have been cleaning up, and now it's possibly they're not doing that anymore. For those who are unaware, it's kind of over near the lofts off of Route 52, Old White's, you know, along the Fishkill Creek. It is a beautiful area to walk. And also, just with the accident last week, I know I had said have patience on Route 52, but have compassion while this construction is going on. That's all I have.
Thank you, Pam. I don't really have anything to report this week, but thank you to folks who have given their public comment today. I appreciate the content and the thoughtful way that you're engaging with the city, and that's all for me today.
Thanks.
Nothing to add from me.
Jeff?
I'm going to seem so talkative by comparison. My office hours are going to be on Sunday, August 17th from 11 to 1 at Bank Square Coffee House. And just the other thing, just a little bit of teaser of information. It's been a pretty phenomenal response to the survey that's on the City Council link. There's 4 links up there. We've had 137 responses. It's not a scientific survey, but still really incredible response of interest. 6 businesses, 137 homeowners or renters, 3/4 of them are homeowners. Complete spectrum of ages and years lived in Beacon. Only 1/4 of that 137 don't know which ward they're in. Just a fact to put in your pocket. More than 2/3 expressed satisfaction with the state of the city. 1/4 are dissatisfied. Many detailed responses on issues and suggested solutions, which I'll tease up. We can share later some updates and snippets, but I'll certainly share a report as I've done in the past with the previous survey version. And this was communications focused, and a shout out to Jeff Sims in the audience, because local newspapers really top the list in terms of the sources of information that people rely on for good information, followed by word of mouth. Only about half city resources. So I'll stop there.
Thanks, Jeff. Leah, it sounds like you're going to get into the transit-oriented development project on the MTA property, and one particular request is if there's any timelines that we know about, that we suspect. I appreciate that the ball is mainly still in MTA's court, but that we can share with the public, particularly because, as was shared tonight, that it's now out there amongst our constituents, and they have questions and concerns and want to know about it. So anything you can share about when they can expect an opportunity to engage, as someone said, I think that would be great. Similarly, kind of in the same general area, there's been a lot of movement talking about the ferry and how the Newburgh Beacon ferry no longer exists, that the MTA decided that wasn't feasible. Related to that, there was also some talk about the future of the dock, and maybe that was something the city could get involved with. I know it's something Jonathan Jacobson talked about at one of the rallies, putting some funding towards it. So if there's any update for the public now about if that's something we're looking into, and anything that can be shared at this point, I think that might be appreciated as well as we think about the future of that, whether or not it's MTA that ultimately ends up running it. And then I also we talked about ADUs, we talked about other housing affordability, and I would like to put my opinion out there that I would love to look at allowing versions of multifamily zoning, 2 families, 3 families in some parts of the city that currently are exclusively single family. I know there are people who have disagreements about that. I know it is a sensitive topic for obvious reasons. And so I think being thoughtful about that, and I feel like it's time to get into that and decide if this is the time ahead of the comprehensive plan where we can at least tee up something for whatever version comes through there, talking about ways that we might be able to add more housing to our community as well and help the overall affordability issue that is critical in so many communities that we look at. And lastly, I will have my office hours Friday, August 22nd from 4 to 6 p.m., Pole Hill Park, or if the weather says otherwise, in Bank Square Coffee House. And Lee, I will pass it to you.
Thank you, Molly. Just on the item that you raised, one discussion we've had, obviously we have to tee up any Route 52 proposed zoning changes when that committee comes forward. They're still wrapping things up, but it should absolutely be in front of us by the end of the month, or else. The one thing you raise is a simple expansion of the T-zone. For those of you who recall it, the T-zone is the transition zone between Main Street, where we have our kind of classic Main Street buildings, and the adjacent residential areas, and it might be as simple as a small expansion of the T-zone in terms of a couple of blocks further. We may need to think about that, but those are the 2 items, Route 52 topics and the one that Molly is raising that we could consider. Both of those are totally consistent with the comprehensive plan, which asked that we consider things on Route 52, and then also asked that we consider zoning off Main Street. In terms of other things, I've got a list, and I apologize, it's a little long. There's a proclamation from Governor Hochul proclaiming August 5th as National Night Out in the Empire State and encouraging all New Yorkers to participate in crime prevention community initiatives. So I just wanted to let people know that. I got that. Next. I had the opportunity to attend a ribbon cutting at Savage Wonder. They had their lower level opened up. It was sponsored by the Greater Dutchess Chamber of Commerce. Molly was with me. I think that was everyone, right? I had the opportunity to be the speaker at the Beacon Historical Society monthly series. I did a presentation on zoning, enabling Beacon's Renaissance and historic preservation. And those two are consistent with our comprehensive plan. I then appeared on the Beacon radio show, talking about Beacon's Renaissance and how we got there. The host is a longtime member of the Dutchess County community and knew a lot about our history, so that was fun to do. As George mentioned, South Avenue Park is getting a ribbon cutting Friday at 12. I had the opportunity to help paint the mural on the new bathroom, which was a lot of fun. And then I also had the opportunity to tour the new Careful MD walk-in facility, which is adjacent to Key Foods. So it gives us another option for walk-in care or urgent care here in Beacon. On Friday, I had the opportunity to do a tour of University Settlement and was asked questions about if we owned University Settlement as opposed to the state and leasing it from them, what might we do? And that engendered interesting thoughts about what we might want to do in the coming years if the ownership changes hands as we've requested. Next, I just want to thank Assemblyman Jonathan Jacobson, who is working on securing funds to restore the floating portion of the municipal dock. And for those of you who aren't sure, the floating portion was the one at the end of the fixed portion of the dock. It allowed ships of different size to dock there. It was damaged in the winter by ice, and it was Metro North's, and they pulled it out recently. So the Assemblyman is looking for funds, and we're very grateful for that. I think if we can get that section of the floating dock restored, that would give us opportunities to consider alternatives for usage of that dock. And then lastly, I do want to talk about TOD. So that stands for Transit-Oriented Development. I will just open the comment of, by the way, everything that the tracks and the lots are owned by the MTA, which is a state agency which can do pretty much whatever it wants. However, post the last time that a transit-oriented development project was proposed at Beacon about 17 or 18 years ago, the city has undertaken zoning of the area, has put it into its comprehensive plan, and has also undertaken zoning from, in what we call a transition linkage zone, from Main Street, which used to extend all the way down to the waterfront, to try to reestablish that linkage. That zoning in the waterfront development and the linkage zoning is, again, consistent and built into our comprehensive plan. And what it's looking for is establishing that linkage down from Main Street to the waterfront, some commercial at the waterfront, limitations as to the height of development in that waterfront area, no development on the Hudson River side other than possibly a single restaurant on Long Dock. I'm not sure of that. That might be the one exception. And otherwise, all development has to be on the land side of the tracks. So that was the zoning that we put in place. There was a concern at the time, I was actually in Albany, of businesses on Main Street not being prepared. Obviously, they're doing gangbusters right now. And so that was the zoning that we put in place. The MTA last week actually voted to award a designation, or to designate the Rose Companies to develop the property on the north lot. The north lot is the one north of West Main. So when you go to the train station and stand on the tracks, it's not the parking lots adjacent to the tracks. It's the parking lot to the north of West Main and to the north of the overpass. It is the least used section of the lot. The project proposes to, and they're thinking it's approximately 3 years from commencement of announcement, The designation of the Rose Company by the MTA allows them to negotiate with the Rose companies as to how their arrangement might work. Metro-North and the MTA will continue to own the lots and will have the lots leased out on a 99-year basis, as I understand it. As part of that, they're expecting a replacement garage to be built by the Rose companies directly adjacent to or on the site, which would remove the need for them to build atop of the parking. So this proposal, as I've seen it, would remove unsightly impermeable blacktop on the north lot, replace it with 265 housing units, about 8,500 square feet, so only a modest amount of commercial space directly on West Main, and obviously create waterfront activity. The housing would be environmentally sustainable. You can't ask for more sustainable than people whose jobs are in the city living directly adjacent to the train station. It will engender far fewer vehicles than any other development I could imagine in this city. It would conform to Beacon zoning, which we said when we spoke to the MTA, well, they didn't have to speak to us, we said we would really like it to conform to zoning, and that's what they required in the request for proposals. That includes our height regulations, our density regulations, and everything else. It also includes our 10% affordable workforce housing requirement and also our all-electric construction requirement. So those are the things that I know about. Again, none of this, oh, and I also want to specifically thank Governor Hochul for her commitment of $24 million in what's called New York State Rush funding, which is funding in support of housing on unused state land or underutilized state land. That will cover the cost of the replacement parking structure. So the parking for commuters and MTA employees will be replaced by the parking lot. Then the development has to provide not only the housing and the small amount of commercial space, but also the parking necessary for those units, although probably at a lesser ratio than we would have expected if it were somewhere else other than directly adjacent to the train station. It needs to go through the standard process, which is what the MTA is committed to doing, which means it has to go to our planning board and go through a process that probably takes a year. That process does not begin at the City Council. It will begin in the planning department where all other developments occur. So that's what I know about it. The other thing I can tell you is the first piece of construction, as I see in the what was put in front of the MTA for approval, assumed that the parking structure had to get built first because they then will replace the parking at that structure. The structure will be, as I understand it, close to the overpass, and then the main construction will occur after that. They estimate it will take a year to get through the local planning process, but again, that really depends on how the process proceeds, and we shall see. So those are the pieces that I know. That's all I've got. So thank you very much. Chris.
Mayor and Council, I'd like to dispense with my report this week so I can briefly honor and remember Amalio Lombardi, a man who died in a tragic construction accident last Monday while working on the city's water main project on Fishkill Avenue. The city extends our deepest condolences to Amalio's family, friends, and his co-workers, some of whom he worked with for decades. Our staff join in mourning this terrible loss, as reflected by the city flags being placed at half-staff last week by order of the mayor. Amalio Lombardi was a foreman for Sunup Construction Corp., a local contractor who is currently replacing water and sewer mains on Fishkill Avenue. And that company and he have done extensive work throughout the city. Amalio was a 40-year union member of Labor's Local 17, and he was described by a longtime head of 17 as a model employee and a union member. And moreover, a good guy, and that's a compliment that you hear repeatedly from all who knew him. Amalio had worked on capital projects in the city of Beacon for decades, including water, sewer, stormwater, and sidewalk projects. He was well known to our staff and our engineer, and he was universally liked. Amalio was highly respected for his skill and knowledge as a tradesman. He expected his crews to do quality work, and he refused to cut corners. And he was never harsh or rude to his crews. He took pride in his work, and he even brought his family to the city of Beacon to see projects he had worked on, including Fishkill Avenue. Amalio was close to retirement and had certainly considered it, but he had never filed for it because he enjoyed working and spending time with his coworkers. Amalio was a true craftsman, an expert in repairing and replacing the pipes that are so vital to our drinking water supply and disposal of wastewater. To a person, people who knew him cited he was dependable, hardworking, conscientious, energetic, and committed to getting the job done right. It wasn't surprising to hear that Amalio came to work on Saturday, 2 days before the incident, to make emergency repairs to the water main alongside our dedicated staff. And it wasn't surprising that some of Amalio's crew, the day of the incident, insisted on staying at the work site to fill in the large trench in the road, despite their drama, because that's what Amalio would have done. Our staff and consultants enjoyed working aside Amalio on countless projects because of his positivity, his generous smile, and his warm personality. Sometimes the new staff who were introduced to him didn't hear his name correctly, and they heard it as Mario, and they just called him Mario. And he never took offense to that, and he never corrected them. If someone he was working with said they had a maintenance issue at their house or they had another issue, he was always first to offer assistance without thought of payment. I joined a number of department heads, our city engineer, and most of the water department who worked closely with Amalio over the years in going to Goshen last week to pay respects to his family. Amalio was a devoted and loving husband and father, and he spoke often of his family. He was so genuinely proud of his 3 grown children, the youngest of whom is attending Clarkson University to become an engineer. And I'm sure he was proud of that as the guy who was working with engineers. All of us wish that we could lessen the pain of this incredible loss for Amalio's family, friends, and coworkers. And while time will hopefully soften that sense of loss, the city of Beacon honors and remembers Amalio for his contributions to our community over the last decades. The city will be installing a memorial bench seating area along Fishkill Avenue with a plaque commemorating this wonderful person, this good guy, who humbly and quietly helped to keep our city running while always offering a smile and a kind word in the process. We look forward to dedicating that memorial to Amalio with his family and friends, perhaps in the spring. And finally, I would be remiss tonight if I didn't take a moment to thank and recognize our dedicated first responders and other city department heads and staff who responded to and managed this difficult and traumatic event. Residents of this city should be very proud of the response by our staff in the face of this tragic accident, and it was handled with professionalism, skill, and respect. Thank you.
And council, if you want to ask questions on what we know about TOD, I can certainly help to answer them too. But again, there's a staff summary that went to the MTA that I have a copy of, and I can distribute to you all. But that's a public document. Okay. So let's do our resolutions. We've covered the first one, which is the appointment of the police officer. So the second one is authorizing the city administrator execute the memorandum of agreement between the city and the Firemen's Association. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion. Second.
So Molly and Amber. Chris, anything you would add that we didn't discuss an hour ago?
No.
Okay. Any questions, comments? And again, this is executing the agreement that the union has voted on, you've all seen, which is a four-year contract?
Yes.
Right? Okay. All right, so all in favor of authorizing the city administrator to execute the memorandum of agreement with the Fire Association, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
This one, the next one is also authorizing the city administrator. This one is an agreement with Hudson Valley Regional Council, and it concerns the Mid-Hudson Landfill Biofilters Project. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
So Amber and Jeff. Ben, would you add anything that Fay missed, or would you summarize it in any way?
I think nothing really to add. I would just summarize by saying that this is an exciting project that the city has an opportunity to join in with several other communities in the region to mitigate a severe source, a potentially large source rather, of emissions, methane emissions at the city. And we're very excited to move forward with it, and it's grant funded, as Faye mentioned, no direct cost to the city at this point. And the next step is getting some initial baseline readings. So authorizing this would allow us to move forward to that next step.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I just have one correction on the last sentence, the now therefore be it resolved is in there twice.
Thank you.
Oh. We're very firm
We'll
about
update that.
being resolved. Be it really, really resolved. So can we make that correction? Any objections to that single correction?
No objection.
Okay. So with that correction, all in favor of authorizing the city administrator to execute this agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. And then finally, we need to set a public hearing. So this is for the proposed local law concerning the parking lot of the county and applying city parking lot rules to it once we sort out a few things. But I think we can set the public hearing, which would be for 2 weeks from today. Is that correct, Nick?
Correct, August 18th.
Okay, so can I get a motion and a second to set that public hearing for the 18th?
Motion.
Second.
So Pam and George, any discussion? Nick, would you add anything at this stage?
Just have a local law is in the agenda packet for those who did not attend the work session, along with an explanatory memo.
Okay. All right, so all in favor of setting the public hearing for 2 weeks from today on the parking restrictions for the county lot, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, can I get a motion and a second to approve the minutes of July 21st?
Motion. Second.
Pam and Paloma. Any corrections, additions, deletions?
I offered my one correction already.
Yep.
Looks good now.
All right. No tittles and jots. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, this is the second opportunity for public comment for anyone who didn't speak in the first one. Seeing no one in the physical audience who can speak at this time. Is there anyone in the virtual audience, Ben?
None online.
Okay. I'd like to get a motion to go into executive session to discuss contracts and to come out and conduct no further business and adjourn.
I just want to make sure we get the announcement of the next meeting in this time.
I will do that in just a moment. Thank you.
Motion.
Second.
All right. So that was Amber and Paloma. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then let me announce the next meeting will be on Monday, August 18th. We will have a workshop at 7 o'clock like we did tonight, and then the immediately following should be the meeting, which again we estimate will begin formally at 7:45. All right, and so we're going to go into executive session, and all we're going to do when we're done is come out and adjourn. So thank you all tonight. All right.
Recording